Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on this episode of The Kitchen. And I'm inspired by an event that I went to last night. The event was great and it was amazing, but what really kind of prompted me to dive into this today as well, it's part of my ongoing program that I teach people for better health, but also it was an opportunity for a group of people to get together for an event that had nothing to do with working out, but the hype for the event was all kind of like 70s moving into 80s music, and there was beach balls and everybody's whacking them around, and before you knew it, we're like, hey, we're like sweating, right? To like take off my little blazer and enjoy. So this episode of The Kitchen is dedicated to movement. I got my little sporty shirt on because I'm going to go do a little strength training before I head out the door. And I want to talk about strength training because it's super important, and so many people are like, oh, I don't really know anything about the gym. I've never done strength training. This is totally not for me. And it is incredibly important, especially as we're getting a little bit older. And if you're not getting older, then it's important to establish these habits for yourself. If you are getting older, this is sort of what I hear from a lot of the people that I work with, that well, I can't really I can't run because my knees hurt or my lower back is a problem, so I can't run. And hey, look, nobody is saying that you must run for cardio, right? You could go out for a walk, and when the walk becomes a little easier, you can incorporate a hill. The important thing is to stimulate from the level that you're at. So if you're kind of like baseline, like, hey, maybe just repeating getting up out of your chair, we'll call them sit to stands, without using your hands and using your leg muscles. And maybe you can only do one today, but then you work up to 5, and you did it 3 times a week, and then you worked up to 4, and now you feel like you can go out for a walk. So start at the level that you're at. Recognize, as I sort of mentioned, that a lot of people are like, hey, my knees are killing me. I can't do that kind of activity. The reason why most people have these aches and pains as we get older is because we haven't done the fitness, right? Our muscles start, we start to lose muscle around age 30. That's just how it goes with human beings, right? So if we don't work to train and maintain, then we're gonna start to deteriorate that lean body mass, which is healthy for a whole bunch of reasons, but in this particular instance, very helpful to take the pressure out of your joints, right? The muscle holds onto it, it holds your bones in alignment, and it keeps the stressors where they're supposed to be. They're great shock absorbers. And so when we don't really have that, then we start to get joint pain, shoulder pain. I see that a lot with like the whole tech neck thing, right? We're all on phones or computers, and we're down, and now our heads are a little bit more forward from our spine than they were meant to be, and we wind up with overstretched muscles in the back that can't really, they're not strong enough to contract and hold our heads back. And so our chest muscles get really tight, shoulders come forward, and then we try to go and do something from this posture, and we wind up with some inflammation because it's just not the right, movement pattern. And then you got to go to PT, and observationally, I will tell you, the people that go to PT and do all of those exercises that you hate at PT, the people that do it do really well. They're like, oh yeah, that really helped. And the people that are like, this is stupid. I hate PT, and they're dumb exercises. And turns out like they're like, yeah, it still kind of bugs me, right? Observationally, no research there, but I'm sure I could pull some, right? So we want to make sure, I also do, I kind of equate things to like hand washing, right? So hand washing, we all kind of know now, like, hey, this is a big deal. It is a way to decrease the spread of, illness and diseases that could kill us. And so we wash our hands. But, it's the same thing is if you don't wash the hands and you do spread the disease, right? It was something very simple that you could do to prevent that disease. So strength training and cardiovascular exercises are kind of like hand washing, right? That we have something that's kind of basic and simple, and try not to let the barrier be like, oh, it's too much, it's so much effort. Just start at the level where you're at and slowly progress, right? It's consistency, not going out and doing like a CrossFit workout or running a marathon. Like that's for some people, and it's not for everybody, and it's not appropriate for everybody. So you want to do what you can do where you're starting from. So, and earlier as I was writing my blog that goes along with this video, and I was thinking about injuries and how that can kind of set us up later for life. And of course, I'm thinking about like football players, because they're always banged up. And about my son here, he was a lineman. And so, if you look at the stance of a football lineman, like they're just trained to like dig into the inside of their foot and have one of their knees go slightly inward and then generate a great amount of force to either oppose or hold back or push forward another giant human being, right? And so there's a lot of stress on that knee and ankle joint in that posture, because those are how the muscles have developed, and that's what they train to. And that's why I always say, like, oh, they're the lineman limping, you can always pick them out of a crowd, right? Like, that guy played football. And I had the same thing happen when I was ice skating when I was younger. I didn't make a rotation on a jump. I came down that way on my ankle, and some of you might recall, like a few months ago when I started to uptick my training after a little bit of like a maintenance, we'll call it deconditioning phase, while I was moving and doing a whole bunch of things. I started to like up my speed and up my distance, and I experienced what I would call anklepocalypse. And my ankles just, it felt like it was bone on bone. And so I think a lot of times I would hear from clients or people that I work with in that scenario, like, that's it, I'm too old, I can't run anymore. And because you don't accept that, I rehabbed and I stretched, and I did some of the, like the yoga, like feet strengthening things, and opened up my calves, and I worked, and look at that, anklepocalypse went away. But like those old injuries, it's like default factory setting mode, right? Like if you decondition those and you take a little bit of time off, like your weak link is going to take a hit. And so it doesn't mean that it's the end of the road. It just means like, hey, go wash your hands, right? So get back into it. So my message for everybody here today is go to an event where they have a little hype and you can like move around and dance, because that's kind of fun. I'm always a big fan of the kitchen dance party. If you do come up with something is sore, hey, maybe you just need, maybe it is something that, you need to back off of. But a lot of times our brain goes to that answer far before it should. So don't sell yourself short and, let those muscles decompensate and let your cardiovascular decompensate. You can start where you are and just do something very basic and small, but consistency is king. So read through the blog post to get some great ideas in there for you. And here's to hoping that you don't experience any kind of anklepocalypse. And if you do, take a beat. Maybe it's just a little bit of rehab that you need to do, and drop your questions, let me know, and maybe I can give you a little bit of advice as to how to get past that hurdle. Maybe it is go get an x-ray, maybe it's just go to PT, or maybe it's like, hey, just do a little flexion with that foot. All right, have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Kitchen.